Today that freedom was attacked, but we will restore that freedom. I have ordered the FAA to ground all commercial air traffic until at least tomorrow afternoon. After the attack, some of our aircraft were diverted to Canada, and so we owe our Canadian neighbors a debt of gratitude.
Couldn't sleep, and I turned on the TV, decided to watch a bit of TV to see if it would make me sleepy. So I was watching these buildings being blown up, and I said, jeepers, they get the same thing on every channel. I don't like these movies. So I kept flicking channels, and then this live feed came through telling of the possible terrorist attacks in New York on the Twin Towers. I was an employee through Stephenville Aviation and at the Stephenville Airport in Stephenville, Newfoundland. So right away it was mass confusion. There was planes landing, planes circling, waiting to land. These were big body planes. We didn't know how many people were on board at the time, but I think it turned out to be something like 11 or 1,200 people. So we went to work.
Happened 16 years ago. I was a student here on campus. I went upstairs. I seen a lot of people conjuring around the TV, and it was happening. And there was just a uncomfortable silence, because I think a lot of people, including myself, were just trying to digest what was happening, and we were in shock. Our next class was with Brian Foley. He recognized that we needed to talk about it some more. And he brought the most comfort to us, I think, as students, because he said during our class that for a long time the world has forgotten about Newfoundland and Labrador, and hopefully they continue to forget. Because there was that fear of war, there was that fear of terrorism. And here we're on an old American base, and we were in a 6-story building, it's a tower, And so you had these fears, and everybody had them, and it was like an unspoken fear, because we were really all terrorized, right? So it was so good that he had addressed that, and he had said it out loud, because it kind of calmed our fear.
I think we always helped out the States, because this was a U.S. Air Force base. Yeah, it was quite the sight to see, like airplanes and ships out in the bay, and wow, it was just like you're in another world.
I mean, the Americans came here, during World War II, set up a base, an American base, and my grandfather was employed with the base. So was my father, so was my mother. And so was many of my mother's sisters were American war brides, and many of them were employed with the base. I think it's a good thing. We have a whole airport here. We have many facilities that we would never have had if the Americans didn't come here.
Americans came here in 1941, and it's the first time people had seen uniformed men and all this equipment. Bases were being built, and people could go there and they were paid real money, real cash, something a lot of them had never seen before in their lives. Location, location, location. Major shipping to Europe and other parts of the world go right by our doorstep. The great airline routes of the world right over our head. I have to say that the Americans were a very generous people. They were from very diverse cultures, and that's our community today, a mixture of all these people from not only the island, but from Canada and the United States. So the bond is there. But to see all these young women and whatnot really excited. They had the jobs in the telephone operations and in the food services and whatnot from all different parts of the province, and see them so excited about everything and life in general that it's just moments that you just never forget.
We remember the perfect blueness of the sky that Tuesday morning. We remember the children traveling without their mothers when the planes were hijacked. We remember the cruelty of the murderers and the pain and anguish of the murdered. Every one of the innocents who died on September the 11th was the most important person on earth to somebody.
Last class was Marg Costard, who she's like a natural counselor, and she was teaching us, I think it was developmental psychology, and one of the terms that we were talking about or discussing was you see something and it's different than what it actually is. So people were jumping from the towers, and instead of us recognizing as a person that was jumping from the tower, my mind just went mannequin. That's a mannequin, because you really couldn't process what you were seeing. You just didn't believe what you were seeing. It had to be mannequins that were falling from the towers. God forbid if it be a person, a human being. So, and I remember Marg just looking at us and going, like, what do you do with that? Right? Because we were still terrorized. We were, like, it didn't happen to us directly. But I think people coming on campus and coming into our residence and staying here and seeing them so shocked, and I guess it resonated throughout us, and not just us, but to our town, to our province, to our country. It resonated with the world.
What do you think?
Looks good.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm in. How's your noise?
They were from everywhere on the planes, yeah. And once they got in and we got to talk to them and register them and gave them hot coffee and soup and that, they were getting the smiles back on their faces.
Then we had to put them on buses to go to their hotels, because other places like Gander, they put them up in their homes. That was the difference of the relationship between them and the families.
But it was quite interesting because some of them got to eat food that they had never eaten before in their lives. One, for example, a man had never tasted bologna before. So he loved it so much, he went out and bought a big bologna to carry back with him. And when he went across the runway to the plane, he had the big bologna under his arm.
Yeah. When they were coming back, to go back on the planes, I met this lady with a garment bag. And I said, "Oh, you did some shopping while you were here." She said, "No, this is my daughter's wedding gown. I missed the wedding."
Even though in 70 hours we were tired with no sleep, but we still kept going, right? And just to make those people happy, that was our main concern.
After 72 hours, when everything calmed down and all the people were processed, I know there was one point where I was so tired I couldn't find my glasses. So I was going around the FBO looking for my glasses, and I was, oh my goodness. And then I asked one of the girls if she could help me, and she was busy doing something. She said, "I can't help you right now." And she wouldn't even look at me. Anyway, there was this French policeman sitting in a chair, and he was kind of just sitting back like this, and he was very Frenchy, and he said, "Madame, your glasses, they are on your head." So I just put my hand up on my head and I said, "Oh, thank you." I have to give kudos to the town of Stephenville and to the Stephenville Airport. Newfoundlanders are well known for their hospitality, and I'm just glad I was here to give a little part of me to them.